Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's the American Christian Country Music Association podcast, Making the Music with yours truly, Marty Smith, and my special guest, Joy Roberts. How you doing, Joy?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so honored to get to be a special guest. I watch everybody else on here as special guests, and even sometimes with Micah, I don't get to be on that often. So I feel really good about this.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's go over this a little bit here about you, okay? Because you got so many awards and nominations. You've been doing this for a long time. When people hear you, they love to hear you sing and watch you on stage. And your version of Amazing Grace, wow. So tell us more about Joy Roberts.
Well, a lot of people, know some of my background, but some of the audience may not. I grew up on a little horse farm with four brothers. I was a middle child, and I grew up with four brothers out in the country with cows and horses and all that. And my mom was my musical influence, but my dad was the horse influence. So
Really?
I have a passion for both. Yeah, my dad, we were a second family. So my dad grew up in the olden days. When he was a little kid, it was still horse and buggy days. So horses were their only transportation. So he knew a lot about horses and passed a lot of that on to me, the passion for one thing, but how to feed them and care for them and things back in olden days, and not run to the vet every time one, took a wrong step. But I learned so much from my dad. And now my younger brother, just younger than me, had the passion for the horses. The two older and the youngest one could take it or leave it. And they were all good riders, but I actually was the best rider of all of them because I had to work at it so hard to be able to keep up with them so they would let me go along on their excursions. And you can't go, you're a girl. Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, no, you didn't.
But I went on a lot of those excursions, and sometimes I was the blunt of the trip. But we lived at this one place over in Oak Cliff that had a creek running through it, and there was one real deep place in that creek that the boys would go galloping up to that part and jump off in the creek with the horses. Oh, I can do it. I can do it. No, you can't. So I finally got them to let me agree to do it. So they all conspired with themselves, and we were galloping along and got right to the edge, and they all turned off and let me jump by myself.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Oh, man.
No. But things like that have served me well throughout my lifetime, because it made me a little tough, and it made me stand up on my own 2 feet. And over the years, there's been a lot of drama with family things and my life. And I look back on it now. If nothing else, it taught me how to deal with cotton. I used to go to bed every night and ask God, why can't I have a sister? Well, now in these last 40 years, I've learned why I did not have a sister as an ally. I had to learn to tough it out with those boys.
Oh, that's funny.
It has served me well to deal with him for 40 years. So
that's too funny.
But with all the things I've gone through in my life, God has never failed me. And there's been times that haven't been comfortable, but in the end, he's always brought me out of it. But my mom, even all the years that I did all the rodeoing and all the horse riding and all those rough, tough things my brothers did, my mom always told me, she said, you can do all this stuff in the arena, all you want to do, and be as fierce a competitor as you want to be or can be. But as long as when it's time to be a lady, you can dress up and look and act like a lady.
Wow.
So that was good advice.
Yeah.
because, growing up, you think, I'm indispensable or whatever. But I'm so thankful that my mom instilled in me that I'm still a girl and I still need to be able to look and act like one when it's time.
There you go. Well, you spent years doing the rodeo circuit, and you were a barrel racer, and you won a
Yes,
few awards there, if I recall, correct?
I did.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that was what we did growing up because I grew up in a very strict fundamental Baptist home.
Uh-huh.
And so I never could be in cheerleading or drill team or anything like that because short skirts were out. And so my parents were very protective of me. And so I didn't get to be involved in a lot of things at school, but we did have a riding club that it was family oriented and we had a lot of activities there. And I could excel in my horse activities and a lot of people my own age, and there were a lot of people my parents' age, but it was like a family thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up doing that until I got old enough to actually go and compete in the rodeos. And that was just it for me when I could go actually graduate up to barrel racing at the rodeos. And my plan was I was going to go rodeoing and find me a nice cowboy and marry him and live happily ever after. But that plan was all well and good, and it worked out for about 11 years. But then my children's father passed away when I was 30 and he was 36.
I'm sorry.
He was a bull rider, but he was a very family oriented guy. And Kathy and Renee, my two children, were 7 and 9. And that was a tough time in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had never lived alone because someone had always been there to kind of oversee me. And I wasn't afraid to be in the country. I felt more comfortable in the country, but I had never lived alone and been responsible totally on my own for 2 little lives. And
how did you get through that?
God is the only way I got through it. Because I was so determined that they would not blame God for that. So we stayed in church. We had 8 horses at the time. And I was a stay-at-home mom, and we had just built a house 3.5 years before he passed away. And he thought that our loan had credit life on it, and it did not.
Oh, no.
And then he had been working at a defense plant for 14 years, and we'd been married 11. But when he started working there, he didn't have a wife or any children. So he had left all of his benefits to his mom. And it never got changed.
Oh.
So I just had to do the best I could.
That's something else.
It took, it takes a little while to get Social Security turned on, and we didn't have a will. We were at an age that, we didn't think we needed a will yet.
Yeah.
But without a will, I had to go through and find a lifelong friend that knew I was his only wife and these were his only children to get an affidavit of heirship filled out. And I had to go before a judge and be declared legal guardian of my children.
Wow. That's crazy.
That was a tough thing.
No doubt.
Just with a lot of prayer, I ended up selling all but one of the horses because I couldn't afford to feed them.
Yeah.
And then I would work odd jobs just for cash. I worked at a little diner down close to where we lived for a while. I have the utmost respect for waitresses. I did not like that job.
Well, let me ask you this. How did you transition, from the barrel riding to music? You mentioned your mom was your musical influence.
Yes.
But how did you get from the barrels to the stage?
Well, I'd always been involved in music at our church because that was another stipulation from my mom that you can do all these horse activities all you want to do, but when church activities are happening, Sunday morning, Sunday night, visitation, Wednesday night, you're going to be at church or there's no horse activities.
There you go.
No ifs,
Motivation.
ands, or buts. Whatever
Yeah.
you can do after church time in the Sunday afternoon and before church time Sunday night, have at it. But church came first. And so I rocked along there, and I was always involved in music at our church, but never as like a solo thing. And then our family gatherings always had music, because my mother's side of the family, my grandmother, who I never got to meet, was a piano and organ teacher. And all 8 of her children played something.
Oh,
so
wow.
when we would gather for holidays, we would eat, and then we'd have just a big circle in a big room, and there was always a piano and an organ and a guitar and a trumpet and so on. And we had our own set of Heavenly Highway hymns. We had a whole box and then we'd pass them out, and we'd just go from one song to the other. And that's how we entertained each other. And so my 2 younger brothers and I, Mom had us sing as like a little trio, but we didn't have a piano at my house, so I never learned to play. But Mom would get each one of us in a separate room and teach us to sing harmony. She would sing the parts to us and teach us to sing harmony, and then put it all together.
That's amazing.
So we did that. And then, of course, I did my years of barrel racing and that stuff. And at that point in time, to be honest with you, I would have been too shy to get up and sing a song by myself. I would get literally sick if I had to get up and give a book report at school.
Oh, you're kidding. Because even on stage now, you're so comfortable. I mean, you just walk right up there and go to it.
Oh, it's only taken about 60 years. But it was just something that I was just real shy, maybe because I was so protected, as a child. But after the kid's dad passed away, I had to learn to do a lot of things on my own and by myself. And about that time is when the cowboy churches started coming around and started coming to light, because we'd always done rodeo, but in the 70s, some of the cowboy churches started to pop up.
Yeah.
And then my husband Cotton, now he was a team roper, so he knew a lot of the roping people, and I knew a lot of the barrel racing people. So we got involved in the cowboy churches, and I would go sing at team ropings at 6:30 in the mornings.
Wow.
When there was a team roping, we would just set up in the stands, and we had to be through by 8 o'clock. We had to be through 30 minutes before the roping started. So I might be in Wichita Falls at 6:30 in the morning trying to crank out Midnight Cry,
Oh my goodness.
And it might be 30 degrees in that building. So, which meant I had to get up about 4 to try to get all the pipes cleaned out so I could croak out some songs. And we started back then with cassette tapes where, if you were in an extremely cold place, they would contract. If you were in a hot place outside, they would expand.
Yeah.
So you never knew what tempo you were going to sing at. But I was comfortable in the arenas, and that started giving me chances to sing the national anthem and things like that. And as the cowboy churches started getting more popular and more of them, we got more chances to go sing at them. And I was beginning by then to slack off on the rodeoing, because my daughters were, when they got to high school, they were in high school rodeo teams. And that was an every weekend situation.
Oh yeah.
And but they both got scholarships to go to college on rodeo scholarships. So then they had another 4 years, which they're 2 years apart, so that's another 6 years of college rodeo. And I had to give the horses up to them, so there wasn't one for Mom. I had to let them have my horses and the trucks and the trailers. And so I started focusing then more on the music, because their horses are very expensive.
They are.
And
they really are.
The rigs to pull them with are very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it did put my kids through college. And so I just started transitioning out of so much of the competition for myself. I still would kind of hold on to the Fort Worth Stock Show because it's an invitational barrel race. And now it's pro rodeo, the girls are pro rodeo people. But back then, you had to have a ranch or a chamber of commerce sponsor you. And I got to ride over at the Fort Worth Stock Show for 16 years.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was about the last one I held on to until my horse got too old to go. And then they had changed it to where you had to have a women's pro rodeo card to enter over there. But it was like a prestigious thing, it was
no doubt.
The who's who have got to go to the stock show.
No kidding.
But I've got all those memories and they're fun. But all those years, and I won't joke with you, it's a real rush. If you love the horses and love to ride and love to go fast, it is a real rush, especially after you get around the third barrel going out the alleyway. I mean, you can just whoop and ride. But after I started doing music and seeing people's response to some of the songs I would do, I realized that all that horse riding was fun and it was good exercise and good camaraderie, but it never really helped anybody but me. It made me happy, but it never really did anything for anybody else but me.
Yeah.
But after I started doing the music, then I realized, after seeing people's expressions and some of their comments after I'd do certain songs, that it was helping other people, comforting them or making them happy or giving them peace or helping them get a closer connection to the Lord. And that was much more important to me than staying in the rodeo circuit.
Wow, that's something else. So from that point, you transitioned, as you say, your music. When did you know you wanted to do a complete project? I mean, you're singing in front of people. I'm sure they were going, "Hey, don't you have a CD or something that we can have?"
They would, and of course, projects are expensive.
They are.
But I wanted to do that since I was 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I knew I wanted to sing at some point. Because Loretta Lynn was my hero. And I would get in front of the mirror with a hairbrush and pretend I was singing The Coal Miner's Daughter.
I
just thought she was wonderful. And and even to this day, and I don't see it, but people are always coming up to me at a church going, "You remind me so much of Loretta Lynn."
Really? What a compliment. That's a great compliment.
To me it is.
Yeah.
Because I tried to emulate her for years and years and years. And then, of course, there's been some other ones, Reba and Martina and different ones that I've loved because I like big songs. I like big songs. But there was a time while my kids were in college that I was trying to pray Cotton into the kingdom. But he was not cooperating. And it made me wonder a lot of times, how did I get mixed up with him? I know now why, but at the time I'm like, how did this little Baptist girl get hooked up with this hoodlum? But he has only had 2 vocations in his lifetime: car lots and bars. Cars and bars is all he's ever known. And so we would get in a tiff and he would leave, and next thing I'd know, he'd have gotten a partner somewhere and open a bar someplace, a nightclub, because he knew so many of the artists and the singers, and he's had Willie Nelson in his old place. This was before my time, but that's how I got acquainted with Terry Bean, is because Cotton knew him from years ago.
That's
when
incredible.
He was in the bar business.
That's incredible.
And so, the verse that says all things work together for good for them that love the Lord. And in the midst of it, and sometimes in the beginning of it, it doesn't appear to be so.
That's true.
It appears to be about as far away from something godly as it could be. But because a lot of the times he was driving my vehicles that were in my name, registered in my insurance, where I worked for the insurance company, it was a way that he could I would go out there in self-defense to make sure he wasn't driving home after he'd had too much to drink.
Yeah.
Well, one thing would lead to another. And he thought he could get me involved by making the band let me sing.
Ah.
So, and no offense to any band members that are out there, but a lot of times back in those days, boy bands did not really particularly want a girl singing with them.
That's true. That's true.
But I wrote their checks.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
I signed their checks, but they didn't have to turn me up. I wasn't in control of the board.
Ah.
So I had 5 live pieces behind me. And if they wouldn't turn my mic up, then the people away in the back couldn't hear me. And there'd be these old drunk guys in the back going, "We can't hear you back here." So again, growing up with 4 brothers, I'll just show you, I'll just sing loud. And that is honestly where I developed the ability to sing these big songs.
Yeah, you got a strong voice. I mean, speaking of big song, the one "Let Me Live."
Yeah,
that is a great song, and controversial.
Yes.
Wow, it is what you would call a big song.
It is a big song, and we were so thankful that the DJs played it. We weren't sure if anybody would play it.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up getting to a #1 spot on 3 different charts.
That's amazing. So for those of you that may not be familiar with the song, it's about abortion, and the song is written from the baby's point of view.
Yes.
It's not been born yet. And
yes.
It's incredible. Did you write that?
No. I didn't write it. Randy Albright wrote that from Nashville.
Wow.
And I'd seen it when I got the song. I started looking it up, and he had actually maybe cut it or had a video on YouTube of him singing it.
Mm-hmm.
But he had pitched it to a Nashville mainstream artist, and she wouldn't cut it.
Wouldn't touch it.
So Chuck Hancock found it on some demo tapes through his producer or through his engineer, and he sent it to me and asked me if I would have a problem with cutting that, and I was like, no, I would be glad to get it. And he said, well, we have no idea if radio will play it or not. And I said, doesn't matter. There'll be places I can sing it, even if the radio doesn't play it. There'll be places that I can sing it that will touch somebody and maybe change someone's mind. Yeah. And over the years, I have had so many people come up and talk to me afterwards and tell me they're so thankful that they didn't go through with it, and adoptive parents with tears in their eyes, so thankful that they got a baby when they couldn't have one.
Wow. And
I mean, I could write volumes about it. And even people who decided to go through with it, and now that they're older, they have begun to work with pregnancy crisis centers, because 30 years later, they know how it feels for that emptiness.
Wow.
And and even the dads are coming forward now. The guys that coerced a girl to get an abortion or paid for it because it wasn't convenient. And now the dads are stepping up and taking responsibility. Wow. And that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Because the burden's always been on the woman.
Yeah, that's true.
The girl.
That's true. Yeah. It takes 2.
It does. It does take 2. And a lot of times girls are young and naive and insecure and afraid they're going to lose the guy, which sometimes they do anyway. But the dads have grown older now, and sometimes some of them have no children and they're getting older, and there's no one there, no grandchildren. All their buddies and friends have children and grandchildren, and they have none.
Wow.
So, you know, that song's just been so special to all of us that put it out, and it was worth every penny that we spent promoting it.
Incredible song, incredible song. So you've got the CD choices, got a lot of great stuff on there. How do people get in touch with you if they want to get that song we just talked about, Let Me Live?
They can go to my website. It's joyrobertsministries.com. And there's my music's on there, including a duet I did with Jonathan Bond last fall. And so that's on there as well. There's a contact page. They can email me. There's the ability to download one song or all of them right from my website. There's pictures of some of the conventions we've been to. And as you had mentioned earlier, some of the awards that I've been honored to win. Yeah. And there's a short bio on the bio page about, you know, how kind of what we've talked about today, and how after 10 years that Cotton had an encounter with the Lord. He calls it an angel, but I truly believe that God gave him a little visit and gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. And from that night to 30 years now down the road, he just celebrated actually his 29th anniversary of the angel coming.
Wow.
The 29th of October was 29 years.
Isn't that something?
And so all of that's on there. And so if, you know, I'll try to go and do some women's retreats, and because I have a long story to tell. And of course, you know, I book out on Sundays, and with Cotton's testimony about the angel, and Micah's testimony about how God healed her and made her useful without the right side of her brain. We have a lot of encouraging things to tell people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You do. And I'll tell you, for those of you that know of anyone who's autistic or deals with autism, you might want to get in touch with Joy. Micah is autistic, very high functioning, and her testimony is incredible. But yeah, you'll definitely want to get in touch with Joy Roberts. JoyRobertsMinistries.com is the website. You can get in touch with her there, the contact page. I highly encourage you guys to buy this CD choices, okay? Because there are a lot of great songs on there. You'll hear some of them on Heaven's Country, but there are a lot of great songs in there. You got to get it. Joy, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for playing my music, Marty.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, without you guys, we might as well just sing in the closet.
Well, it's what we do, and we love to do it. And we're glad to get the music out to people all over the world. And it's, you know, just like you have your calling in music, mine's in radio. And, you know, I'm grateful to do it. So thank you for putting out such great music.
Well, the more the merrier for me. I'm working on another project, and I'm lining up songs. But
Good.
When you mentioned the How Great Thou Art, that's definitely going on my next project.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Because it's always asked for. Do you have that recorded? Yeah. Well, I don't, but it's going on my next project.
Yes, definitely. Please do. I can't wait to get it. Thank you so much. Bless you, my friend.
Well, bless you too. I'm glad your knee is doing better, and that's good news to me.
Well, thank you. It's been a very interesting road there.
I traveled that road a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, I got the left knee replaced. I'll do the right very soon. Ah, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Guys, go check it out. JoyRobertsMinistries.com. You can buy the CD choices. You can look and see her bio, read her testimony. You can also hear the song that she did with Jonathan Bond. Definitely worth looking into and checking it out. I strongly encourage you to get the CD choices at JoyRobertsMinistries.com. One more thing, don't forget, coming up February 29th through March 2nd, 2024, at the Capitol Theater in Lebanon, Tennessee. We're going to be there at the ACCMA conference, to where we'll have songwriters, promoters, radio people, musicians, instrumentalists, all this, where we'll have workshops for you all to come and learn and grow in networking ministry, because we really want to see you grow that. That's really the whole point of it. It's not an award show, but it's a chance for you as an artist, instrumentalist, musician, promoter, songwriter, or radio guy. Even ask questions of, how do I get my songs on radio? You'll find all that out. We want you to go. The website for that, AmericanChristianCountry.org. And you definitely want to check that out, make plans for it, because we're going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. 3 days of incredible information for you. So check it out, okay? Joy, once again, thank you. Bless you, my friend. So good to have you on the show.
Well, I'm just honored to be here, Marty, and we look forward to seeing you at the ACCMA. Michael will be there doing some interviews. And so we had a great time last year. So thanks for all that you do.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to the Making the Music podcast of the ACCMA, the American Christian Country Music Association.